Now this is an interesting arc. Before we hop in this review of Chapter 71 of Dragon Ball Super, please leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below, leave a like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, let's get into it. What's up guys, Pencil here, and here we are to review Chapter 71 of Dragon Ball Super, and honestly, I'm kind of intrigued. I do like the way this arc is going, though admittedly, the Granola arc isn't so much about Granola that's interesting me, it's more so about other characters, but let's actually get talking about it. So, quick summary, we basically see everyone training up, and by everyone I mean Goku and Vegeta. Goku is learning how to use the technique of Ultra Instinct in its base state rather than using the transform state, which is a really interesting distinction between both the regular state and the transform state. There was always a confusion whether Ultra Instinct was a form or a technique or not, but apparently it's a mix of both. They're always in the Ultra Instinct state, referring to the angels, while Goku needs to transform into it. His body doesn't always move on its own, which is very, very interesting. Honestly, I'm more intrigued about seeing this than I am Vegeta's path, mainly because it leads to something I enjoy, which is technique stacking. I think if Goku can access this in base and he can still calm his heart later on into his other transformations, such as Super Saiyan, it could mean a lot of other forms get more utility than they did before, considering usually when a new form is introduced, all the forms beneath it kind of become worthless. But apparently, another thing that caught my eye is that Ultra Instinct has still a very bad time limit. And I figured this, I kind of thought about it when he first went Ultra Instinct against Moro, and he needed to get his power given back to him, but I thought that was because Moro was stealing his energy. It seems like Goku actually legitimately needs a lot of support when it comes to Ultra Instinct. Like, it still has a heavy stamina drain on him, but we don't know how long, because he was fighting Moro probably for not that long considering how fast things move in Dragon Ball, but still, he was going at it for a pretty solid while, so I'm kind of shocked to see that Ultra Instinct still has this massive stamina issue, or not massive, but a stamina issue in the first place. I know it wasn't mastered Super Saiyan, but usually once Goku gets a form and he like masters it, quote unquote, he should be able to hold it for a decent while, but apparently that's not the case. Another thing that's interesting, we see Vegeta still training with the Hakai, but the most interesting thing about this is that Whis is talking about the idea that time is not going to be on their side. And I guess this is because Whis knows about Granola, or an idea about Granola, the new strongest being in the universe, and that's really interesting to me. I wonder why Whis is really concerned, especially since he knows how fast Saiyans adapt. Does he know the scale of how far the wish took Granola? Because the thing is, while Granola made that wish, Goku and Vegeta could train for a little bit longer. As they do, they have massive growth in this chapter. They go from not really being able to dodge things at all in the Goku's case, and not really be able to destroy any big things, to destroying big things and dodging on their own in base. So it seems weird that Granola, who has stopped training, he hasn't trained at all, he's just made himself the strongest, and at that moment made himself the strongest and locked himself away. I'm wondering how big is the gap between them now? Because strongest in the universe can make him literally just like one tick, whatever one tick is in Dragon Ball, one tick stronger than what Goku and Vegeta, I guess, maybe Broly. This is the thing, Broly hasn't been mentioned in the manga, and I'm really shocked Goku hasn't brought him to Whis' planet. But regardless of that, it seems very strange that, no, not strange, I'm just wondering how big is the gap between Granola and Vegeta. I know we're going to see Granola, Vegeta, and Goku. Like, what's the gap between the Saiyans and the Cerulean? I'm very intrigued to see that, because it must be massive if Whis is concerned, because these two made exceptional growth over such short periods of time that it seems like, reasonably, if they were to go to their max states right now, they'd be able to easily surpass Granola. But who knows? I'm probably tripping. I can't wait to see them fight. And then we see Granola back on his home planet, and he's watching over the Namekian he knows, and I think that's nice. He still cares about him, he's still happy that he got his wish from him, and he wants to protect him, but he does feel shameful that he didn't follow his warning, basically. He still used the Dragon Ball to make an extremely serious wish, just because he wanted to be the strongest, quick as possible, didn't really care, and ignored all the repercussions that the Namekian was talking about. I think that's interesting, how he still cares, but he feels guilty about the fact of what he did, though he's still going to use it to his advantage. I like that. Granola's a very... See, it's weird to say that Granola's a villain, because he honestly isn't. He's much more an antagonist. He's very much along the lines of Jiren, if Jiren was a more interesting character. So, I'm actually really liking Granola in this arc, though admittedly, he is sort of just sitting on the sidelines waiting for smoke, and while I do like that, he's not waiting for smoke in like the Madara way, or waiting for smoke in like the Goku or Beerus way. He's waiting for smoke, he literally just has to wait for information, and that's not as interesting as something that I would have considered more interesting, such as either Granola actively hunting down his opponents, such as Frieza and the Saiyans, and or maybe just, yeah, I think mainly just hunting down or going on his own, or like proclaiming his challenge to every other being in the universe, especially Frieza. Frieza probably wouldn't take lightly to some random Cerulean, or random anything really, it's not a Saiyan, calling his bluff and saying that, oh, you're fodder. But I guess he has no way to do that. So I understand why Granola's waiting, but I don't like that Granola's waiting. Then we get to, honestly, the most interesting part of the chapter, and honestly the most interesting part of this arc for me. I really like the Heaters family. They're very interesting because, one, it seems like they do have a powerhouse. They have that powerhouse in Gas, who honestly, I'll admit, I just looked it up because I had forgotten his name. But the thing is, since I just looked it up, I can remember who this guy looks like to me. He looks a lot like Kid Buu if he gave him Kaioshin ears instead of the regular holes he had, and gave him hair instead of the tentacle coming out of his head. I was wondering, because Gas reminded me so much of a character, but I just couldn't put my finger on it, and now I'm glad. But they have the powerhouse in Gas. They have the big guy in Oil. Then on top of that, they have Monkey and Elec, the leader, and I'm assuming like the tactician. I'm guessing that's Monkey's role. He seems to be the best actor in the family and seems to be the one asking all the questions and coordinating everything, while Elec sits back and does the leadership role. And the interesting thing is, I'm not sure if Elec can sense power or anything, but he claims that Gas may have been able to win against Granola, and it makes me wonder how strong Gas is. What's Gas's fuel, if you will? But actually, I'm just wondering what gave him that confidence. Was it just reassuring his younger brother or son? I'm not sure what Elec is. Like, they call themselves a family and they all look similar, but I'm not sure what exactly their familial relationship is. But regardless of that, I wonder if that's just bravado, trying to get Gas's like enthusiasm up, or if he wasn't capping, like, Gas, where you been at, bruh? Where you been at? And why didn't you take out Frieza forever ago? But I understand why not. And then they go to Zuno. Now, Zuno is always an interesting thing in Dragon Ball Super. Like, I always forget him until he's mentioned, but it's good to have him here because he's basically like Shenron without the wish granting part. Like, he can tell you any information you need, and information can be just as useful as any wishes as long as it can be used the right way, especially if it can lead the wishes like it does in this chapter. So we see them get the information from Zuno, and then we cut back to the boys training. And the thing is, Goku gets the whole mastery of self movement pretty darn well pretty quickly. So I'm wondering what was making him lack so hard before. Like, isn't this the thing is, I guess a lot of Goku's things weren't muscle memory like we all thought they were. Like, supposedly when you're a really good combatant, you aren't thinking at all. So I guess this mastery of self movement is just like the peak of that, and Goku didn't have that in base. But considering how long Goku's been fighting, it's kind of weird that he's taken this long to do it. But I guess this is coming from the idea of mastery of self movement isn't you just reacting to things like by seeing them and avoiding them or hearing them or something like that, because Goku's moving with his eyes closed. So I'm assuming the mastery of self movement not only comes down to what you can see and react to, but mainly what you feel, like the world around you and how your body will move on its own. Like, I'm assuming these eyes closed is not supposed to just signify Goku closing his eyes and not looking at the way he's supposed to be dodging, but also Goku like shutting down his mind and allowing the world to more so flow into his body, and his body reacting accordingly rather than Goku thinking on it. Because a lot of the things I like about this specific group of panels in particular is because of how sage-like his movements were. Like, the thing I liked about Ultra Instinct the most was how different it was from Goku the traditional warrior in the sense of the punching and kicking. He just is dodging, flowing, moving around the staff as it flows around him. And I like that a lot. And he stops it with a simple tap and then sends it flowing again. It's very wave-like in its motion, ironic enough with the Kamehameha, but the thing is, the reason I like that so much is because it's such a deviation, it allows for something unique. And honestly, as much as I love Dragon Ball combat, I even love more unique Dragon Ball combat, especially with our characters. So when they learn more fighting styles, I very much appreciate it. And then we cut over to Vegeta, and Vegeta is sort of just destroying things that Beerus is sending over a river. He's destroying logs that Beerus keeps throwing out. Then Beerus basically throws an entire tree, and Vegeta destroys it along with the entire waterfall, which gets him scolded. But it's interesting. Vegeta quickly, and that's the thing, how quick is this? Like, I'm not sure. We don't necessarily get a time frame. It says, and so time passed, and then the Heaters go to Earth, but like, how much time has passed? How much stronger have these two gotten? Because they seem to make a lot of quick growth, like quick growth even for them. Because it really, I mean, I guess Goku naturally had Ultra Instinct already in his transcended state, so it makes sense for him to adapt to that quickly, because he basically just has to keep that feeling he had in Ultra Instinct and put it into his base state rather than just relying on the transformation itself. But Vegeta, this is like, I guess he's naturally a destroyer, considering one of his main jobs was destroying planets and civilizations. But to tap into this new type of energy, I'm not sure how long Topo trained for, but it seems to be going very, very quick. And while I understand that you don't want to bog the arcs pacing down too much with training, they're just moving so fast and getting so much stronger with their respective techniques. I'm wondering, like, Granola, how you gonna handle this, bro? But regardless of that, the thing I find hilarious, I know I shouldn't find it hilarious, but I find it hilarious, is that the Heaters asked for Goku and Vegeta's weaknesses, and they instantly go to their wives. And initially, I thought it was gonna be on some menace mentality stuff, like they were going to kidnap Chi-Chi and Bulma and be like, "Hey, yo, Goku, Vegeta, come get the smoke." But no, they literally just asked them. I like this though. I actually really, really like this twist, because it's a version of my expectations I legitimately like. It's Oil and Maki showing up and then just pretending like Granola is this big bad guy that they need the help of Goku and Vegeta, the strongest Saiyans in the universe, well, the strongest beings in the universe, to come fix for them. And of course, the money happens to be running low for Chi-Chi after Hercule, and it has been years since Hercule gave him that money, so I'm assuming with Saiyan eating habits, even though technically Chi-Chi should only be raising Goten at this point. And Goku's like never there, as she noticed. Like legitimately, how long did she say? I was hoping to see his face soon. The cash we got from Hercule's running. Sorry, hold on. Yeah, he hasn't been home for months. So like, man, Goten, you must be munching up, bro. Like, how did you burn through all that money? Especially since Goku's like never there and Gohan's already an adult, so he has his own house. I don't know. I'm very intrigued. But regardless of that, Chi-Chi needs the money, and Bulma's just a nice person, so of course she's willing to help them out. And Goku and Vegeta go there. Whis tells them to be careful, don't be overconfident, which is something I thought they already learned at like Frieza. And I mean like Resurrection of F Frieza, but I guess not. Maybe they're getting confident once again because, of course, reasonably, who is stronger than them? Like, I'm not sure, is Broly still a factor? Like, Broly hasn't been mentioned in let's see, Tournament of Power. So it's been 2 arcs, really. Not really 2 arcs, because he's post-Tournament of Power. So the Broly movie happened, then the Moro arc happened, and now we're here again. But it seems like it's been a while. No one's checking up on Broly, who seems to be a very, very important factor. Like, wouldn't you want to get him under control? Like, what if he gets angry on Vampa and like goes on a rampage and starts destroying the entire universe? Maybe he would die in space. Maybe he's still a regular Saiyan. Maybe he's not on that legendary Super Saiyan Broly level where he can just coat himself in a barrier and keep it moving. But if he can, like, I feel like Broly should be very much more mentioned, but I understand why not. The manga didn't even really do anything with Broly, and the thing is, if you were to introduce Broly to the story, you would have to deal with the issue of Broly's potential and his constant growth. And the thing is, while it's great for a movie villain that needs to be, a movie antagonist that needs to fill up space for about an hour, 30 minutes, for a consistent series, having his level of growth constantly adapting to an enemy, unless you make that enemy insanely stronger, where basically Goku and Vegeta are worthless, you can't have Broly in the narrative. But man, I was really interested with Broly. I was hoping we'd get more of him, but obviously we can't. I understand why we didn't have him in the Moro arc, because Broly would basically just be a free food battery for that young boy Moro, but honestly, I feel like now this is the perfect time to go get him. Like, don't you think Broly would be great to fight against a person who's literally just all about power? Like, you don't know anything about this guy. You don't know if he absorbs energy or anything like that. So maybe getting the guy who adapts to people really, really quickly would be very, very good. But obviously, can't have Broly in the narrative because Broly, he kind of breaks the narrative, let's be real. So we get to these two taking like their own little symbols of their respective ways. And the thing is, maybe I'm caught lacking. Maybe I just can't see it well enough. But I don't think all the gods of destruction have this earring on them. I looked up Topo specifically, and let me double check once again, because, you know, I could be caught lacking. But basically, my point is, I don't think Topo even has it. And we know Topo can use destruction, but maybe he was hiding it. So I'll give Topo a pass. But all the gods of destruction, let me Google that again. Gods of destruction, let me take a look. Yeah, not all of them have that thing on their ear. A lot of them do. Maybe this doesn't go on the ear. Hold on, let me reread that. Stick it on your ear. It's a symbol of those who can use destruction. So that's weird. Like, I know some of them can't have it on their ears. Like, I don't expect the Metal Man to have it on his ears. But why doesn't Kitella have it? Why doesn't Hellas have it? Why we can't see Hellas' ears? Why doesn't the little furry guy have it? Like, a lot of characters are missing it. Why doesn't Rudra, I think it is, have it? There's so many characters that are missing it that I'm thinking, like, well, that's a cool thing. You should have, like, that's obviously a thing that's just thrown in there to add more competition between Goku and Vegeta, which is fine. But you should have just said that's what it was for. It was like Beerus, instead of it being a universal thing for all those who can use destruction, unless you're saying all these other gods can't use destruction, it's only a Beerus technique, which I doubt. I feel like you should have just said, here, this is a symbol of your training under me. A Universe 7 symbol for God of Destruction, or something like that, rather than it being everybody, because then you have to update everyone's designs. And at least currently, from what I'm seeing, not everyone has that earring on them. But regardless of that, Whis brings back that symbol I really like, where he does a little swirl in the line between it to show off the two diverging paths. And I like that, even though I do believe Goku's still going to be stronger than Vegeta, because honestly, why would Vegeta use destruction against Goku unless he's using to destroy his own key attacks? Because like, I'm pretty sure Vegeta doesn't want to erase Goku out of existence. And honestly, overall, no matter how powerful destruction is as a specific technique, Ultra Instinct in general is just a better ability to have, because it not only supplements one thing, which is your offense, which is the only thing that Hakai does, and I guess your defense if you're using it defensively. Ultra Instinct literally not only powers you up like that, like literally you can transform into a state that makes you way stronger than even Super Saiyan Blue. On top of that, it gives you the ability to move and attack freely without thinking, basically removing any input lag between you and your abilities, which is much more important than the need to still think before using your abilities, at least in my mind. Do y'all feel the same about that? Do y'all think which do you think is better, the path that Vegeta's going down or the path that Goku's going down? I'm leaning towards Goku. Obviously Goku's the main character, so he needs the better ability, but at the same time, like they're treating Hakai and Ultra Instinct like they're on the same tier, but in my mind they're not. It's the same way that the Gods of Destruction aren't on the same tier as the Angels. It seems like two completely different paths that shouldn't even really be compared, but they can kind of be compared. Y'all know what I'm doing. But basically, what actually gets up, two more interesting things we need to learn. The idea that the Dragon Balls on Cereal or Cerulia or whatever that planet, Granola's home planet, basically they don't have to recharge. I'm assuming that comes from the fact that that dragon doesn't really grant wishes. I mean, it grants wishes, but it grants wishes at a cost. It's like a monkey's paw. So it basically takes something from you and then gives you something in return. So it makes sense that they wouldn't have a recharge time. Because unlike, I mean, I guess the original Dragon Balls are monkey paw too. Because like if you don't word it right, you can play yourself with the original Dragon Balls. But this seems more specifically like, oh, I'm definitely going to take something from you no matter what you wish for. So be careful what you wish for, buddy. And so it makes a lot more sense that this would be a much more rare update sort of factor. Like, yeah, I won't have to recharge, but I will still take something from you. So I wonder what they're gonna wish for one, and two, what the dragon's gonna take from them if they are specifically going to that planet. Because honestly, I go to Namek. Like, I'm assuming one of their questions they asked was, where are the Dragon Balls if they're real, and where are they? So why not go to Namek, especially if you're gonna pull off the fake nice people act where you did on Earth. So literally the Namekians, some of the kindest people in the universe, would definitely be like, oh yeah, sure, you can use the Dragon Balls. I feel like, I guess they wouldn't know. So yeah, I think their idea is, oh, well, if the Dragon Balls never run out of time, we can just keep using them again and again and again, instead of having to wait for whatever recharge time that the Earth Dragon Balls and the Namekian Dragon Balls have. So I think that is a good plan to use it if they don't know about the consequences of that dragon. So it makes sense. 2 balls, no, I can't believe I said that. But basically, less number of orbs to collect, the efficiency of the dragon. You basically just have to get the Dragon Balls again and again and again, which you can probably very easily do with the Dragon Radar. So it seems like a good plan to go and abuse those Dragon Balls. And honestly, the most interesting part to see is Granola finally ready to take revenge after a long 50 years coming. So this was a very good chapter. Honestly, I like pretty much every part about the chapter. I like the rare sighting of Earth. Like the rare sighting of earthly characters like Chi-Chi and Bulma. They're always nice to see. I really like the Heaters family. It's really cool to see them in action and all their different facets and how they serve different roles. Like basically oil is the muscle, but gas is the real muscle behind the muscle, and I like that a lot. Then of course you have the entire thing with Granola watching over the Namekian. He helped out. I think that's really cool because he feels bad, but he doesn't want to actually keep interacting with him because he feels bad. Oh, it's so good. Then you have the whole thing where Goku and Vegeta are developing in their respective paths, and I like it when characters go down separate paths, even when I think Goku's path is inherently superior. Once again, tell me what you guys think about that. Do you think Goku's path is inherently superior, or do you think I'm tripping? And honestly, I really like this chapter. While it is very much an intermediary chapter where we're getting to a transition of the big battles, I like it a lot. The only thing I'd have to say is like the little weird continuity thing about the earring, but even then, I'll let that slide. It's whatever. So yeah, this may be a weird chapter to say is a 10 out of 10. Like, the weird thing is, I will give 10 out of 10s to chapters that don't necessarily have much like big, bad, boom impacts, if they're just doing a lot for our characters and for our story. And it does a lot for Goku and Vegeta in terms of their power growth. It does a lot for their ideologies and how they grow on their own 2 separate paths. It establishes and kind of rebirths their whole rivalry, which has been kind of dead ever since Goku got Ultra Instinct, even though I think it's still kind of dead because Goku has Ultra Instinct. And then, I like seeing the Heaters interact and do their thing. I like that the Heaters are smart enough to go to Zeno, use that information, get the Dragon Radar, be treacherous, not actually threaten anybody, and really just guide two forces that were destined to battle or not destined to battle into battling. I like all the intellectual stuff they're doing, even if it is rather simple, but this one, once again, a kid's manga, so I'm not even surprised about that. I like all of this chapter. Yeah, this is a solid 10 out of 10 for me. But what do you guys think? Please tell me in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off.